Hey everyone, it's Libby from Meister Tarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri First Nations people. An absolute thrill to have you, your guides, my guides, and the universal energies with us today. What I'm going to have a quick look in this video is something a little bit different. It's going to be a video about tapping into the First Nations knowledge. Now in Australia, we've had a shocking history with our First Nations people. Absolutely ghastly and horrific. Not unlike what has gone on in other parts of the world. Canada and the United States as two examples. The Caribbean with the slave owners, etc. What I'm wanting to have a quick look at, entertainment only. Now I am talking about Australia here, but I'm expanding it out to these other areas of the world where there is a shift in consciousness. What's happened is years ago, too many years ago, our Australian First Nations people, their elders came together and they formulated a fairly extensive document called the Uluru Message from the Heart, I believe. And what it was, it's about because for too long our First Nations people have been told by old white men what they want, what they're going to get, and how they should behave and what they should do, and etc. etc. We have our own generations of stolen children, First Nations people, First Nations children that were paler in colour were taken away from their parents, never to be seen again in most instances, and placed with white European families to try and Europeanise the original traditional owners of the land. It was just, we've had a horrific past. Absolutely, land was just taken. The First Nations people were slaughtered. It's just, even though they were trying to be friendly and trying to help, it's just the usual colonial awfulness. Okay, what I want to have a look at, so what's happened is that our elders got together several years ago to draw up this document about how the country can move forward. And one of them very simply was acknowledging that the First Nations people were here from the start of colonisation, because when the Australia was found by the white explorers, it was declared as unoccupied. So what it is, acknowledging that the First Nations people were here, it's about them having a voice in Parliament without having to be elected. It would be an elder that was elected by all the tribes. In Parliament, having a voice, being heard in regards to matters that were affecting First Nations people. Instead of just, as I said, having the old white guy sit up there and say, this is what you need, this is what you want. Now, what is also being acknowledged, aside from that, is that the First Nation people in Australia had a really intimate knowledge of the land. So the colonialists came in and they tried to farm Australia like they farmed Britain. Well, our soils are incredibly degraded because we are such an old continent. We don't get the rain that they do in Britain. Our river systems are subject to flooding. We have horrendous drought, which is all only getting worse. And what's finally happening is that the powers that be are starting to go, well, hang on, these people actually farmed the country for thousands of years. Now, the First Nations people have been acknowledged as being in Australia. They came down from Africa up and around, through the subcontinent, through Southeast Asia into Australia about 60,000 years ago, at least. And what is happening now is that there is a recognition that maybe these people know what they're talking about in regards to caring for this land. So this sort of kind of follows on a little bit from my Mother Earth. But what I want to do is just have a look at tapping into the First Nations knowledge. Will we, Australia, and around the world, take the opportunity to learn before it's all lost? Before it's all lost. Instead of just building on a mission, houses that they don't want in a style that does not suit their lifestyle, in supplying what these people do not want, will we finally listen to these First Nations people, and will we draw on their knowledge, tap into their intimate knowledge of the land that we are occupying? Okay, thank you, boys. That's what they said, occupying. We do not own the land. We are just passing through. We might think we own it for a short period of time, but we, at the end of the day, we are passing through. We have borrowed this land from our children and our grandchildren, our future generations. Nurture is the word I'm getting. Is there a vibrational, spiritual shift? Is there a shift at a profound level in regards to how, to how we perceive? Now what you'll find is most First Nations, the United States, Canada, South America, Africa, Australia, wherever it may be, the traditional owners of the land, going back, not necessarily everywhere now, but going back, they did not see them as owning the land. They saw themselves, and they still do, fundamentally deep down, as belonging to the land. The land owns them, and their purpose, thank you guys, their purpose is to nurture that land so that it is passed on in a better state than they found it. Okay, I've rabbited on enough. Let's have a look, see what the cards say in regards to this. Yes. Fabulous. Judgment. A collective awakening. There is an inevitability. Now this is about tapping into the First Nations knowledge, treating the land as these First Nations people do. Really big movement in Australia at the moment, which is gaining momentum, is what's called regenerative farming. It's not about taking what the land can supply, it is about nurturing the land so it can actually supply more. Putting back in. It's about filling up the nutritional bank, the emotional bank, the spiritual bank, so that you can draw on it. If it's empty, there's nothing to draw. But it is very much, we're in this period of collective awakening and a beginning of an understanding. I do like that. Do like that. And a call to arms. And manifesting possibilities. The possibilities that we can, this is my runic tarot, the possibilities to manifest are literally limitless. All the tools in the toolbox are already at hand. We have the ability. Okay, base of the reading, Page of Swords. It is the youth coming forward with the truth and standing firmly in that truth, standing in their truth, bringing their truth saying forward. I do like this. In the past, there has been a shift in the point of view. Things sort of paused for a while as there was some reassessment going on. It's not the Hermit card, but it is very much about things finally have been seen from a different point of view. Haven't drawn on it yet. But there is this awakening of how things should be done instead of could. At the top, yeah, this is commercialism. We still have this. It is a corrupt indolence, not caring about the lives lost, not caring about the nurturing of the land, literally not caring as it tips over these emotional cups. It's about loss and disappointment and sadness. And this is still, we're still in this energy at the moment. It is changing because we've got this collective awakening and the youth bringing forward this message, standing in their truth. But at the moment we still have this greed and capitalism that really doesn't give a flying F about the land and the people. And I'm just looking at the background here. It's just desolate. So there is a lot of work still to be done. However, the wisdom is coming forward. Strong wisdom. Powerful, masculine, can be women, but a masculine wisdom. Now it has to be masculine at this stage to overcome this corrupt indolence. It just needs the cold strength to wield the sword. Externally, a new emotional start. Love it. We are resetting emotionally. And then we have the Queen of Swords here as well. So this is the feminine coming forward internally. So we've got the masculine, which is the immediate, but then internally the feminine. The feminine wisdom, the feminine truth. Wanting to take everybody with them. Look at her holding out that hand. Sorry about the traffic noise outside. It's a hot day. I've got the window open. But yeah. Air energy, communication, intellect, wisdom, but compassionate, masculine wielding the sword, and then feminine. Hopes and fears is the star. It's not too late. Bring everyone together. Thank you. The star of hope, restoration, respite for the land, and then restoration going forward. Outcome. This is usually, in other decks, hemmed in by the truth, by the messaging that's coming forward. But this is also a duality of strength with the messaging. There's strength in the messaging that's going forward. Here's your sword of truth. The ace, a reset. So we've got this emotional reset, and then we've got this wisdom intellectual reset happening after we have become engaged with the discussion. Thank you. I think what's happening is the acceptance of the message from the heart is going to a referendum, possibly in the next federal election, which I think is another 2.5 years away, or 2 years away, going to referendum for acceptance. And then we have this new start being discussed, being debated, new start. High Priestess, a raising of the spiritual vibration in the face of truth, in the face of the harsh truth at government level. It is the ending of there's no person in this, it's just the sword stuck in the ground. It is an end of a colonial attitude cycle. And we moved it then into the feminine energy of security and stability, and working together. At the base we've got, okay, here's your 5. This is the abuse of power, chained to the toxicity, reaping what you sow, but then steady progress coming forward with the messaging. And we will be faced with a choice. A lot of work needs to be done, but then we're moving into a new cycle. So this is where we're at the moment. This is the here and now, is the abuse of power, the win at any cost, basically, because there is this underlying chain to what is toxic, the untruth, the addiction. Thank you guys. The addiction to the toxicity, an addiction to the lies that we were told, an addiction to the untruth. Thank you. We are at a crossroads moment, and then we have justice. And then we have another 10 of Cups. So we've got several endings of the cycles and several resetting of the new cycle, starting anew intellectually, emotionally, wisdom. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, I'm going to use my intuitive cards for this as we go forward. A little bit sleepy, had the weirdest dream last night. Okay. Tapping into First Nations knowledge. Tell me the story about tapping into First Nations knowledge. Australia, US, Canada, wherever else it is necessary, Africa, about how to care and nurture the land. Tapping into First Nations knowledge, tapping in, whether it be fires, flood, farming, agriculture, tapping into the First Nations knowledge. I'm just getting wisdom is what I'm being told. Acknowledgement of wisdom. Purpose is what I'm also getting told. Purpose. And this has jumped out at me. What a beautiful, beautiful start to this reading. Okay, let's have a look. It's a new dawn. There is being full illumination on this as we enter a new dawn, a new era of poverty consciousness. It'll be slow. This card deliberately blank. The future is not yet written. Thank you. There's a new dawning about how we are literally spilling our money, about how we are allowing the, how do I put that? Allowing the potential of these countries to be wasted, to just let it spill out, to be lost. Thank you. There are two sides to this coin. Oh, here's my chicken card. And it is going to be a bit scary as our comforts move into the future. It's actually there's going to be some cowardice due to the creature comforts going into the future. Oh, interesting that I've got the two flying. So we've got overseas conflict will stop. Oh, I like that. Overseas conflict will stop. A leap of faith will be taken amongst the peoples, intertwined on this convoluted path via the masculine, yes. So international conflict will stop. There will need to be a leap of faith of the masses, of the people, to untangle this intertwining of masculinity, of toxic masculinity. Now, masculinity, what I'm talking about is, I'll probably call this my conservative card. It doesn't mean men as such. It is about the masculine, the male being the be-all and end-all, for want of another way of putting it. You know what I mean. The noise. The noise will make magic happen when we work together on technology. Bullseye. It will be hard work, and the message may be uncomfortable at times, but the rulers will start making, each will be a drop in the ocean. We have, like this is my, what would you call it, my greed card. It's my addiction to the good life, so to speak. Excessive greed. My excessive greed will be outed. Growth, unity, crossroads, transformation. So this excessiveness will be no longer will be admired. Thank you guys, is what they're telling me. It'll be out. Instead, we will be looking for growth of unity, and we are at a crossroads of this transformation taking place. And in the past is the upward movement of the small-minded, and that's going to be flipped. I'll just bring you up a little bit. We'll do one more load, one more row. The upward movement of this small thinking is going to be flipped. The empty cup, goodness, destiny, light bulb moment. Going to flip the empty cup. Thank you, is what they're telling me. The way of thinking in the past, the upward movement of the small-mindedness is going to be flipped. The emptiness is going to be flipped. We are in a stage of fate and destiny and realization in regards to nurturing our planet Earth. Our agriculture needs to be rebalanced. That's upside down. I'll put it up the right way. No, I won't. It needs to be upside down. A rebalancing of the destruction about how we go about treating our earth. We have the feminine. No abundance. Dark cloud. Interesting. I don't know. They're telling me not to stop there. They want one more, which is going to make life a bit difficult. So at the moment we have the goodness, the positivity of our fate. We're going to have a light bulb moment that we need to rebalance how we treat our earth, how we destroy our earth. We've got the feminine coming in. It's got no to abundance under a dark cloud. Got contracts down, peace, minus, devastation, loyalty, fast, bravery, health, communication, and family. Okay, okay, thank you. What they're telling me here is, okay, so we've got this abundance under a cloud. No longer is abundance going to be under a cloud. The official claims, because what I'm talking about here is tapping into the First Nations knowledge. I'm going to call this card colonialism, because it is the white man's law is going to be down as we're going to be become not so important. It's going to be reduced as we enter this period of peace, and it will be the minusing of conflict and loyalty to the white man's way of doing things. There is going to be minused out. It is going to be fast movement, brave movement towards healing, and it is going to be word of mouth on a family community level. At the base we've got the devil, money, death. So it's going to be the death of, if I call it capitalism, I'm talking about the obscene capitalism where you've got the likes of some earning, a couple of $1 billion a year while they pay their workers not a living wage. And that's what we're moving to. There is going to be this transformation of how we think going forward. And I have read on this similar, different question, but same premise several times and getting the same answer. So I am looking forward to the future. Okay, thank you for joining me. Hopefully my hairdresser will be back this week. Take care, look after yourselves.